And Paul Felder is now kind enough to join us via the phone from Abu Dhabi. Paul, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm really well. I know it's a bit of a pain to connect from over there to us here, so I appreciate you doing this very much.
Yeah, no problem. The FaceTime and Skype stuff is a little limited to not at all over here.
No problem. It's great to have you on the show. By the way, what has it been like so far? Is this your first time in Abu Dhabi? And if so, just the culture shock, the differences, what has it been like for you thus far?
It's definitely unique and different, and more than anything, though, it's just adjusting to the time change and the jet lag for me right now. As far as the culture and all that, everybody's been really open and excited that we're here, and volunteering to get drivers for people and take us around and show us places. And, obviously, I got my teammate, my buddy, and good friend Bilal Muhammad, who's with me. So, it's very exciting for him to be here. So I've kind of been going around with him and his family that's here. So it's been a lot of fun, just a little exhausting the first couple of days. Hopefully trying to get my sleep back on track starting tonight and tomorrow into the weight cut and, cruise down to 155 and put on a show for these people.
We just showed a clip while we were waiting to connect with you of Bilal playing this prank on you yesterday and almost getting you to kiss this guy's hand. What was that? So what did you think? You thought that guy was like an important sheik or something?
I didn't at first. I thought it was just one of the guys that he had met that was, kind of showing him around, and he's from Abu Dhabi. And I know a guy had reached out to him and wanted to help out and show us a bit of the city. So that's who I'm assuming it was, and that's who it was. But, Bilal loves to play jokes and mess with us, man. And he comes up there, and he sold it pretty well at first. And I'm just, he's not my prince is what I'm thinking. I'm like, I shouldn't have to kiss anybody's hand if you're not my leader. You're not, it's not my culture. I shook your hand and being respectful. You're in my room. So when I gave him the double take, I saw them start to break, and I was like, all right, I'm getting played a trick on. I didn't even know Jared had his phone out. I didn't even see him. He's sneaky with that.
It was well done. It was certainly well done. By the way, when they booked this fight, you versus Barboza 2 in Abu Dhabi, initially, like if you see the way the card is constructed, obviously it's a lot of Muslim fighters, a lot of Russian fighters, and then there's you versus Barboza, who have no connection to the area. Were you a little surprised that they put you guys there?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, neither one of us have anything to do with, a Brazilian who's living in Florida and, some redheaded white dude who's lives in Philly and trains in Milwaukee. It's like, yeah, sure, send them to Abu Dhabi. I had been asking for either, I wanted a 5-round fight on one of these smaller fight night cards or a co-main event on something. I didn't think it would end up being this card. I had counted this card completely off my list of options. It was never even mentioned. We talked about Boston. We talked about Australia. We talked about a lot of other places that Sean had mentioned. And then out of nowhere, I was on my way to Vegas to do my last Contender Series job, or at least what ended up being my last Contender Series job. And that's when they offered us this fight, and it was kind of a no-brainer. It's like, well, it's a huge opportunity. Of course I'm going to take it. I didn't expect to be going to Abu Dhabi, but, hey, not every day you get to fly to Abu Dhabi and fight in a stadium that just got built. It's insane.
I remember when we spoke in June in Chicago, you were a part of the first ever historic Helwani Knows Roadshow Trivia Challenge. Valiant effort, by the way, but fell just short. I'm sure one day you will get the rematch. And you were a little frustrated that you couldn't get a fight. You wanted Gaethje, you wanted all these guys. In the end, are you happy with this? I mean, obviously the fight is here, and you've obviously made you've come to terms with the fact that you're fighting this guy again. But when you were offered Edson Barboza, a rematch against a guy who beat you, your first pro loss, all that stuff, somewhat controversial, the groin strike, were you happy with where? Because I didn't see this rematch coming now. I'm wondering what you thought when you were offered it.
Yeah, I kind of did. The only reason I didn't see it coming is because, over the years, me and Edson had kind of been teammates and become pretty friendly with each other. But we hadn't trained in years, we were in different camps and things like that. So it was a fight that was very much on my radar, because when you're number 10, floating that number 10, number 9 area, the guys above you, a lot of times to get that jump up in competition, you're going to have to take guys coming off of losses. That's the only way sometimes you're going to get those top 7, top 5 guys to take you on when you're lower ranked than them. So I was always watching the guys ranked above me that were also coming off losses. Obviously, you try to go after the guys that are coming off the wins, the Justin Gaethjes and things like that, but it doesn't always pan out that way. Those guys want to move up the rankings. They want to fight the guys above them, and it makes sense. I've never said that there's a problem with that. Because when I won in Phoenix, I made it clear that I wanted either one of those guys, and I knew, in my heart that if Justin won, the fight that I was going to get was probably more realistically going to be Edson.
I said before you came on that I feel like you have improved exponentially since that first fight. And this is no knock on Edson. I just think he's still really good, but hasn't made the kind of leaps that you have over the past 4 years. Is that a fair statement on my part? Do you agree or disagree?
I mean, I agree. Yeah, I'm sure he would disagree. Obviously, his coaches would tell us otherwise, right? But from my point of view, I have to agree with that. I think whether he's made some changes or not, I think I have 100% made quite a lot of changes and leaps and bounds in my career and how I perform in there. And I think a lot of it has to do with just experience and time. It's just be my 13th or 14th UFC fight. I've faced top competition now. It's nothing new. This is, next level kind of attention that we're getting here because of the scenario and the card that we're on. But it's not my first rodeo in having, a big spot on a card or a big name or somebody in the rankings now. Whereas the first time we fought, that was all extremely brand new to me. I'd never experienced anything like that before.
I saw in an interview that you did recently, I think it was with MMAfighting.com, where you said that you were peeing blood after the fight because of the groin strike. How bad did that hurt?
Well, it hurt really bad, but Edson also kicked me about 100 times into my body too. So I'm sure it was a combination of those factors of the groin strike and the shots to the body. We did some damage to each other in that fight. But yeah, I was beat up. I handled it well when I was in there. It was one of those fights when I was in there, I actually felt, other than the groin strike, but as far as the actual fight itself, the contact, I felt pretty good in there. I remember it was as soon as I got backstage for that fight is when all that kind of stuff really set in. Adrenaline's a hell of a thing, man.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this is the first rematch of your career, right?
Yeah, 100%. Definitely the first rematch I've ever had. And I remember that was something that I was really curious about and excited about. I feel like all the greats and people that make it really far in this sport, one of the intriguing and exciting things along their career that you remember about them is trilogies or rematches or avenging losses and things like that. So that's the kind of the way I look at this. This is a stepping stone for me to kind of cement myself as a really top-tier guy if I can go in there and take out somebody that took me out before and adjust and make things different and avenge my first loss. Like I've made it very clear that there's no bad blood between me and Barboza, but the way we both fight is very violent. It's very aggressive. So I want to get that one back, and I would feel really, really good about myself and where I stand as a lightweight fighter in this division if I can go in there and get that one back. That one in particular, because it was the first loss. It was definitely the hardest pill to swallow, because once you lose once, it's not that they become easier, but at least you've tasted it before, So that one really was hard for me to get over. I can remember, even though it was 4 years ago.
How long did it take for you to get over it? Do you recall?
Well, unfortunately, I did it all wrong, Ariel. I lost, and instead of taking that time and adjusting things in my training camp and healing up properly, that's when I decided I'm just going to jump right back in the cage and go fight Ross Pearson in 4 weeks. And I was still icing, I remember taking an ice bath to get the swelling out of my legs because I booked the fight with Ross, and I still was limping when I took that fight. I still had bruises on my legs. And I gained, probably 30 pounds already of eating and drinking beer, not thinking I was going to fight for months after that Edson fight. And stupid, and just I wanted to try to avenge that loss right away and get back in there. And I took that fight and then lost that one. So I did just about the worst thing that you can do after taking your first loss like that.
How about your current health? Obviously, we know about the collapsed lung and everything you went through, you know, in post your last fight against James Vick. How are you feeling now? Any concerns in the training camp? Any issues? Any concerns for the fight itself?
No, not at all. I feel 100%. I feel, you know, I hate to say it because everybody's always saying this. Of course, I'm going to tell you I'm in great shape. But, I mean, I did change some things. I'm always changing things in my training camps. You know, first of all, it starts with my guys back in Philly. Before I even go into the real heart of my training camps now, I've got a good group of guys now back in Philadelphia and in New Jersey and things like that. And always with my strength coach, Rich Poehler, back home, keeping me strong the whole time. And now I added Matt Gifford from Next Level in Milwaukee, who's just a phenomenal strength and conditioning coach who I worked with. He actually made me warm up, stretch. So physically, you know, at 35, I feel more limber. I feel just physically stronger and even bigger. You know, I think I gained a little more muscle in this one, and I lost a lot of fat. I mean, I'm down probably below 6% body fat already going into this weight cut. So very lean, very strong, very hungry in more ways than one at the moment. But no, I feel great, and no lung issues whatsoever. The forearm obviously is healed up good. We saw that held up just fine in the James Vick fight. So no, nothing. There will be no excuses whatsoever, no matter what goes down on Saturday night. I'm primed, in shape, and ready to go for this one.
One thing that I remember from UFC 112 in Abu Dhabi, had the pleasure of being there live, and I remember how sweaty the guys got very early on in the fight. It was very humid. It was in April as opposed to September, but you're outdoors, you're in the desert. It's just a different type of climate than in an arena. Are you prepared for that? Have you ever competed outdoors before in any kind of climate close to that? I mean, you guys, I suspect there won't be a lot of grappling in this fight, but still, it's a different type of environment.
Yeah, no, there's nothing that can compare to the heat that I've faced when I walk outside of this hotel right now. I'll tell you that right now. It is like getting smacked in the face with a warm, wet blanket, and, you know, you're in a steam room and you can't breathe. It's horrible. But we're told we're in air conditioning and they're going to be having it closed up. So we'll see how finished this place is. It's supposed to be complete, but, hopefully I haven't seen it. So I'm just being told all this stuff that it's a good to go. So hopefully we're not fighting in this weather, because I'll tell you what, I'm not going to be the only one having trouble on Saturday night if there's open air at all and we're not air conditioned, because it is hot.
Oh, wow. So that's interesting. This time they put a roof. Maybe they learned their lesson from the last time. The last time it was open.
They did. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
They did. And Ariel, in this time, like their season right now, this is their dead season here apparently because of how hot it is. I mean, we're talking like with the humidity index, we're talking like feels like 130 during the day.
Wow. 130 Fahrenheit.
Yeah, there's no way.
That's insane. That is unbelievable.
If we fought outside in this right now, I mean, nobody would last a round out there.
Okay. Well, that is good to know. I didn't know that. I didn't know it's amazing that they're able to build these arenas and then just essentially get rid of them in a matter of months. It's unbelievable what goes on over there.
Rip them down.
Yeah. It's truly amazing. Well,
yeah,
I wish you the best, Paul. Thank you for doing this. I'm really looking forward to this fight. A bit of I don't want to call it a tournament per se, but there's 3 really important lightweight fights at the top of the card. Islam Makhachev against Davi Ramos, your fight, and then, of course, the big one, Khabib versus Dustin. Last thing, I'll ask you to put the analyst hat on. Do you think Dustin can get it done, or are you favoring Khabib?
I'm favoring Khabib, but I do think, man, I do think he can get it done. I think he's really talented. He proves that time and time again. Every time he gets in there and we doubt that guy, he goes in there and he finishes people. He finishes tough people like Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez. You know what I mean? These are tough guys to get out of there. Max Holloway, he goes and beats him in a decision. It's like, no matter how hurt you get Dustin, he seems to just dig down deep and come back. So I'm hoping that whatever happens to me on Saturday night, I'm able to at least sit back and take in that main event, because I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yes, I agree. Great stuff, Paul. Thank you very much, and good luck to you on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Hello, everyone. It's Ariel Helwani. I just came here to thank you for watching our ESPN YouTube channel. It's the best. You know what else is the best? The ESPN app. You can get highlights, analysis, all that stuff and more. And if you want premium content and live streaming sports, there's only one place for all of that. It's ESPN Plus.